Don't let this 15-year-old problem happen to your brand new website. This is the silent killer of websites right now and the last few years as AI has been rolling out. This is a scenario that I see every single day, and I have to admit, many of my sites are also suffering from this issue. If you don't know what I do, my name's Eugene and I build and rank hundreds of websites. I have about 800 of my own domains progressing somewhere in the ranks. I run a lot of Facebook ads and a lot of Google ads. Now, these days, a lot of my sites that I initially built as rank and rent properties, where I rank a website, I can rent the traffic, I can push the traffic, I can sell the leads, I can do whatnot. I currently use that to power up my client campaigns. So if I've taken on a plumber or an electrician or a home renovations, an arborist or a builder, I might already have leads ready to send them from day one. Not only leads, but backlinks, mentions, directory listicles, and essentially hog more real estate from day one. Now, because I've had those for more than 10 years, 15 years, they're all suffering from this exact issue as well. And the issue is actually really simple. Clean your stuff up. But it shouldn't happen to a brand new website that was built just in the last 12 months. So something to look out for. So the scenario that I have in front of me is a plumber in Sydney. And I'm looking at over 2,000 pages on the website that Google has basically said, crawled not indexed, discovered not indexed, a whole bunch of 404s. Aside from them being a technical nightmare and it's not good for a brand new site to be suffering from this, let me just explain the situation. Even when I started, for a long time, the more the better. The more text on the page, the more keywords on the page, the more pages, the more service pages, the more blogs. For a long time, that equated to more traffic. More traffic sometimes equated to more leads, but more authority, and it was always a good thing. We could slap up 10 blogs on one topic, and as long as they were written in a particular way, keywords stuffed, internally linked, power up with links, they would rank. And at one stage, for many years, I would hog first, second, third, fourth, and fifth placements with directory listicles, top 10 plumbers, top 10 private schools, top 10 wedding venues, alongside how to choose a wedding venue blogs. Those times changed dramatically, right? Even before AI, Google began to clean up their index. So what is going to happen to the library when there are 1,000 books that teach how to choose a wedding dress, 1,000 books on how to replace the drainage pipe, right? But imagine those books are not 1,000. Imagine there's 1,000,000 of those books. The library is going to begin to select and choose books based on their algorithm. And that was already happening long before AI. There was a term called keyword cannibalization, which is essentially where your Google and the search engines are confused which is the one page that they want to display on your site for that particular key term. Now, Google has stated this many times. They only want really to display one page for that particular search query. So what are we looking at here? We're looking at a plumbing website with over 2,000 pages that are essentially flagged by Google as crawled not indexed, meaning they don't want to show them. They've seen them, they've discovered them. They don't feel like these pages are worth anything to the greater World Wide Web and the Google index. Let me just move my big head down here and share some stuff. Now, this is general knowledge. There's a multitude of sites that are currently suffering from this condition, but in this case, it was a brand new website for an aged domain. The business has been around for a while, but to see a site go up in 2025 with essentially thousands of pages and definitely hundreds of pages targeting keywords that don't even get any search volumes. I used to do this as well. I used to build out 34,000 suburb pages nationally for a cleaning brand that just wants to be the cleaner in every suburb of the country. Or a good scenario is in Melbourne, there were 400 suburbs, but not all 400 suburbs have somebody living in them, let alone people searching for, let's say, tree removal plus a specific suburb. It might be airport, or it might be like Arthur Seat, and I'm sure Sydney and Brisbane have those pages, those suburbs as well. Not every suburb has someone looking for a lawyer in suburb. Some key terms, they're looking for the lawyer in Melbourne or Sydney, and they want the best lawyer instead of the best lawyer in Bondi or where they live. So these days, I will only build pages that actually get traffic, get search volume, and have the right intent. And it was about in 6 years ago, I began to heavily cull my websites. Now, why are we culling your website? Why are we deleting things? We've spent so much time creating long form guide-like blogs. We're optimizing things. We're adding to things. Why are we taking things away? The scenario of that library that I mentioned before, where there are just too many options and Google is attempting, and the search engines are essentially cheaping out on their hosting budget. And there's only a certain amount of spaces available as real estate. So I think you get to where this is going. In this particular case, brand new site went up, and what I call a 15-year-old problem, right? Where the site is young, but the mistakes are baked into it are not. So at some stage, somebody sat down and planned out a whole bunch of pages that are useless from day one. For example, I saw one just the other day. It was a commercial cleaner. No, it was church cleaner plus suburb. And they built out hundreds of these pages. Now, there's not a church in every suburb. So those particular key terms and those particular pages are useless. No wonder they're flagged already by Google Search Console as crawled not indexed and discovered not indexed. So what I expected when taking over this plumbing website is a reasonably new, good layout. I knew there was going to be a lot of work for me to do, but modern build and a modern platform, a clean slate, no legacy SEO baggage, room to build services and suburb pages from properly. Now, that's not the case here. What we did find was thousands of pages that were basically flagged as poor quality, hundreds of pages gunning for the same key term. Now, there's obviously hundreds of desirable key terms, but there were at least 30 pages we found gunning for, where's my big head? Gunning for just one commercial intent key terms. Might be like drain plumber or emergency plumber. We had blogs fighting for the same commercial key terms as well as SEO and service pages. So a very quick snapshot, 2,600 pages collected and analyzed. I think we culled about 500 pages. What are we culling pages for? I'll get to that in a second because it's one of the slides. I don't want to jump around too much. 30 plus pages targeting each individual key term, so just pure cannibalization. And we can see it in the rank charts where the key terms are moving up and down, and the page that is showing up on Google is being swapped out for another page. So there's 4 or 5 pages, in this case 30 pages, gunning for the same term. Usually 4 or 5 of them will show the trend of moving up and down, and there's charts over time, different pages being swapped out. And then the other pages just don't get into the index at all, which is not good. Now, before I go into this, there are outliers in this. If you run a national brand and you already have thousands of visitors a month, lots of authority, lots of links, you can get away with this stuff. Big brands, the algorithms of big brands that have earned their trust with Google can get away with this stuff. So the rules that apply to the elite are very different to the rules that apply to the little corner shop, local service-based business. Those big ones can get away with these pages, and a lot of the time they will be indexed and getting traffic. Eventually it will catch up with them, but they also have the authority and the link juice to keep that powered up. Now, the shocking one with this website is we ran into a whole bunch of technical issues in that we now need to rebuild a lot of these pages by page, and the internal hosting mixed with the combination of plug makes each page, each click take 10 minutes to load, which is a horrible scenario to be in. So be careful what page builders you choose, be careful what plugins you choose, be careful what hosting you choose. We host something like 2,000 sites right now. Things should be very quick We host much bigger sites than this that things open up in seconds, but that's a separate thing. One of the big ones that I see happening a lot, and once again, I have so many of my sites, I can't get to my own personal sites. So I see this play out because on the newer sites and the client sites, we're obviously jumping on this as soon as we possibly can. So I've got comparison data, what happens when you fix this, and then what happens if you just leave it. And not only the traffic dying, the rankings dying, the crawled not indexed errors essentially skyrocketing through the roof. So in other words, I see a lot of cannibalization from, let's say, a blog post. And the blog post might be how to choose an emergency plumber in Sydney. Now, emergency plumber in Sydney is the keyword we want to rank for. We want our sales page with our reviews, with all of our best copy to rank for that key term. We want our commercial plumber Sydney to rank for that key term. We don't want to use how to choose an emergency plumber in Sydney to be its own dedicated blog post, because chances are that blog post might receive priority over this commercial intent page for your site. Now, could this be a FAQ in a H2 within that page? Probably. Could this be a video on the commercial intent page? So you could still have this educational style content within that page, or you de-optimize this particular blog and write something that's still helpful, but with informational intent and not cannibalizing this. Things just need to be a lot clearer to Google, especially for young websites. Paint them a clear diamond without any kind of overlap. This is the kind of stuff that we're seeing is week on week, different pages rank for the same key term, and none of them are seeing high results, let alone sticking there. So it might be 30 pages carried the emergency plumber or plumber near me in the permalink, in the H1, in the title. So Google was just confused which one to rank. So moral of the story, analyze the pages on the website, make sure they are useful. We noticed there were 4, even 5 pages built for one suburb, because there was a north, there was a west, there was a east, and there was a south, and then there was the central one. So some suburbs had 5 pages, some had 4, some had 3, even 2. And Google just made it really clear, hey, these are useless. And sometimes even the root one wasn't indexed. Guess what? When we deleted the north, west, south, east pages, the main one fell into the index. It got indexed. We didn't even have to push it. We didn't even have to say, hey, Google Search Console, index this. It's just a way that Google and the library is cleaning up excess baggage. Everything needs to be useful. Blogs need to be updated. If you are giving irrelevant or useless, basically if ChatGPT and Claude can easily, with a basic prompt, answer that particular question, that blog is going to be quite useless. Now, should you not write blogs? No, find a way for those blogs to be genuinely meaningful, provide personalized value. If you're a plumber, you can say something like, I have analyzed 500 hot water systems in Bondi in Sydney. Based on the salt water, my recommendation with these is to have the piping here, do this. So it's personalized results. Also, make sure that your writing tone is unique to you and not just slop for the sake of slop reworded with Grammarly or another spell checker. Use personalized jokes. Speak to the camera, use your words, be different, be unique, and make sure you have a perspective that's different to what's out there already. You could definitely be inspired by what's on page 1 of Google and what ChatGPT is answering, but you should be adding something in addition to that. If you're not, it will probably won't be indexed these days. I know that's harsh. Add media, add videos to that particular blog page. Once again, add additional value. Google refuses to index even after the edits. No real value to the site or indexed. It's essentially duplicating another page. Now, having said that, I still have lots of websites that have these near duplicate SEO pages that are indexed and getting leads. That's because they are the Google algorithm is treating them differently because of their authority, trust, backlinks. Now, Does that mean I leave them as is? Absolutely not. We are still rewriting them, we're still revisiting them, but a page that's sitting in position 1 and generating leads, I'm probably not going to touch that one. But any page that is like a 404, crawled not indexed, we'll pay attention to that page. Also, a lot of this also depends. I've seen a whole bunch of pages that are not in the Google indexed, yet they're being cited quite heavily by ChatGPT. So once again, whoa, what's going on? Hey, my doggies don't like that guy. My doggies didn't appreciate the NBN guy rocking up. Hopefully he can fix the problem. So I think you get the gist. New site, I guess you could say whoever designed this, just let's build all the things without really maybe an understanding or consideration. Maybe they're not updated. Maybe they asked ChatGPT, let's just build all the things. It's kind of like loading up a truck with too much baggage that can't climb the mountain or the hill. It's just not going to pull it up. You need to have enough link juice, authority, trust for Google to index 1,000 pages. So if you're starting up a new website, don't build 1,000 pages. If you have, will I deploy 100 blogs over the first year? Only if the site indexation rates allow it, right? If my link juice and link velocity is high enough, good enough, and we're responding in Google Search Console, will I release those 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 blogs a month, a day? It all depends on velocity, authority, index. In most cases, these kinds of scenarios, I would simply rebuild. Textbook answer. It's much quicker, much easier for me to redraw the URL plan, set up some redirections, create the new homepage, create some service page templates, interview the client, 50 interview questions. 2-hour interview gives me a crazy transcript of the source of brand, the tone, the ideal client persona. Would smash out the site, 50 or so pages, plus geo pages, plus supporting blogs. Much quicker for me to do that than surgery on a live site I didn't build from the ground up. We kind of, upon first investigation, everything was fine, everything is good, but things and game of Jenga begins. So in the long run, it would have been cheaper for me just to rebuild it and a genuine clean slate and structure. The reality is the site is generating leads and things are already looking hopeful in the first 3 months, but overall, a lot of bottlenecks, very difficult campaign. So once again, what's the framework that you can implement being tech savvy or not? First thing you want to do is audit your pages. Audit your pages, do a WP export. If you're on WordPress, load all of your pages into something like a Screaming Frog. Connect your Screaming Frog to Google Search Console or Google Analytics. Bonus points if you can connect to Ahrefs as well. And that way you get a list of pages that are, crawled, not indexed. Look at those pages first that are not even in the index. You don't even need to crawl them. It's just good to see a trend of which pages are losing in impressions, which pages are losing in clicks. Don't be afraid if there's no clicks these days, but check if you're getting impressions from or mentions from ChatGPT. Because every now and again daily, I can see ChatGPT inquiries. And once we speak to that person, came through a blog, they read something, there was a snippet that was quoted from one of our blogs, and they inquired basically through the contact form after visiting the site through ChatGPT or Claude or whatever the LLM is. So we audit. Then we either cull things that are completely useless. If you have 5 blogs, I'm sure you can easily either consolidate or choose the ones where they're just completely useless. In this case, we just culled the useless geo pages in areas where there's no one searching for that term. That northwest, east, south variation of the suburb was completely useless. A lot of it was consolidated where possible. So when the commercial intent keyword blog, we kind of got the gist of that, added as an FAQ, right? You could still do the YouTube video on it and embed it, how to choose an emergency plumber, what to pay attention to if he's really an emergency plumber. Rewrites, this is big. Rewriting, add layers of things that are different, things that are unique, perspectives, sometimes controversial. TF-IDF is big. It's where we deconstruct the top 10 websites. We look at the average term frequencies and we inject that naturally, so it's not typical SEO content. Enhancing with things like calculators, lists, unique images, videos. It's never been easier to make AI stuff that's unique to the particular blog, using the colors of the website, using the business owner's face as if he's the one writing it, reading it, jumping up and down in front of it. Place the business owner in front of the local locations. If it's a removalist, for example, for a removalist, there was something like 30, not suburbs, 30 towns that we wrote, moving from town to town, Newcastle to Sydney. Guess what? For Sydney, we had a photo of their truck in front of the Sydney Harbour Bridge. Newcastle, it was Newcastle, etc. So making whatever they're landing on very unique to what they searched or what AI. So yeah, slow and steady with this particular page by page, we're rewriting, we're deleting, we're cleaning up, we're re-enhancing, and slowly it's coming back up. So we can already see Ahrefs trends and ranking trends where this useless plumber near me page was deleted, and we can see 10 other pages that are now showing up for plumber near me, and then they've just jumped up. It's pretty enjoyable while there's nothing really to celebrate this early on, because nothing is really set in stone. For Google to react that fast when you delete a page and redirect it is pretty rewarding. So another thing that I've done with this particular niche is picked up a whole bunch of exact match domains: gas fitting, drain plumbing, emergency plumbing, block toilets. So it's where I build these exact match domains. I build them out. I put a cluster of pages on them, blogs, links, and I'll let them marinate. On those websites, I will place directory listicles. For example, if it's a website about gas fitting, I will place a top Sydney gas fitters. I'll write top 20. Guess what? I'll list my clients first. It's not even about the backlink anymore. It's about the mention. The more places online that are consistently mentioning you, be it in a positive manner or a negative manner, is what goes into the trainings of the LLM models, right? So I like to build this monopoly, this cluster around my client's website. It's their website, it's their brand, but here come the monopoly of my sites that in the first sort of few months, nothing really happens. If I hit a highly niche term in a way that hasn't been hit before, we can start to get leads instantly. Just last week, we started to get leads in a very specific dry cleaning space, where it was a specific type of cotton or linen or something like that, and it was a dress. What kind of dress, what kind of beads? It was just a trend of that type of material, and up we go. So those niches still exist, still trending right now. Bone broth was trending a few years ago. There's always these trends that you can jump on, and if you're one of the first ones in and you build your monopoly of sites, you can get results. There's a couple of keywords in the plumbing space, in the electrical space. We've already missed the boat with EV and electrical charges, but go ahead and still build it. Now, how to avoid becoming this case study: 1 page per suburb, not 4. Only build that suburb page if it genuinely gets traffic. Pick the strongest and redirect the rest. Map every keyword to exactly 1 page before you publish anything. Keep blogs informational and sales pages commercial. Never blur the two. License every plugin and confirm hosting compatibility before launch. Look, I'm not going to comment on how other people build websites. It works, but someone now needs to drive this ship, and it's a pain when we need to rewrite 500 pages and they're taking 10 minutes to load. Judge success on rankings, inquiries, and not just page count. This is big. Everything that I try optimize for isn't essentially rankings, it's inquiries, right? Just inquiries is a byproduct of rankings. Once you show up, once you get cited, that stuff comes. And obviously you need traffic for that. So slow and steady still beats fast and broken. So don't index 1,000 pages, 500 pages on a brand new site. Just start with the basics. Strong homepage, very strong about us page, about the team, detailed descriptions about the team. Get your social accounts fired up. Drip feed some and syndicate some videos out there. Videos have transcripts. The transcripts help AI, help SEO. If you get some traffic from social media, Google begins to see, hey, there's a diversification of traffic hitting your website from other platforms. This website must be somewhat important. Google business listing with reviews. So real fundamental stuff. Just understand that these days we're using more for the AI agent than ever before. We've done this loop. 15 years ago, 20 years ago, keywords mattered, links mattered, real technical stuff that you can see, and it moved the needle. Still moves the needle now, but we've just done this loop that we're now back to optimizing for the LLM, for the crawler, for the robot. So if your H1, H2, H3 doesn't have the desirable keyword, your permalink doesn't have it, not so much that you won't rank, it just means that the LLM and the AI might consider someone else quicker because it was easier to crawl them. Don't hide your stuff behind hidden JavaScript. Hope that helps. All the best. Bye-bye.